Today I will show you how to use the app in Pro mode. To switch to Pro mode, simply click the Pro button and you will enter to Pro mode. First, I will cover everything related to the design and then we'll move on to the functionality. A quick overview of the design. You have themes that you can choose to your liking. I will select the dark theme. Next, you have a visual indicator showing whether your click is enabled or disabled. If the click is enabled during a logic scan, it will show in red. I will turn it off. Logic on indicates that you'll connect to your logic project. Hotkeys setting from the previous video, you already know that you can configure your hotkeys to add stamps from logic. Rename memory. If your stamp in the project are labeled, for example, all drums, and you always want them renamed to drums, you can add these using the add button and save your preset. On the right side, there is an activity panel. It shows statistics, how many files you have bounced it in total, how many minutes it has saved you, and the total render time you would have spent rendering everything manually. So for 30 minutes of total render time, you save yourself at least 20 minutes. For 1 hour of total render time, you save at least 50 minutes. 34 sessions have been rendered recently. It also shows how many files you have rendered so far and how many are currently in the queue. Next, let's go to the history. Here you will see all your projects that were rendered yesterday or last week. If you need to restore a project, open the Logic project, you will render it and simply click Restore. All your tracks will be added back with the settings that were previously applied. To delete, simply click the Delete button. All your versions and settings are saved here, including master plugins, FX returns, sidechain, and more. The Log tab is useful if you encounter any errors you are not sure how to resolve. You can simply copy the log and send it to us via the feedback tab so we can fix it. You can close the activity panel or leave it open for visibility. Now let's go to the left menu. In the left menu, you have your stamps, which look the same as they do in Logic. You can see that kick is selected here and the same kick is shown there. You can drag stamps into the queue like this or add them via hotkeys. If you need to render absolutely everything, just select all drums, remove the stocks all drums, and add them as a kick, snare, and hi-hats. If you only need to add the drums, just drag the drums over and only the drums will be selected. To create a version without drums, drag to drop to versions and it will be created and unchecked for mute versions. You can see it's already toggled and versions without drums will be created. Click Quick Name and Add to Queue. A version without drums will be created. To give it a different name, drag the versions and add an underscore or name it whatever you like. To create a group solo of multi-type tracks, for example, to make an instrumental, drop to merge and all the selected tracks will be soloed together. You can name it instrumental and click save, so next time you won't need to type the name again. What else do we have? You can save your drum presets. Click plus presets and name it all drums. This way, next time you open another project with the same track names and indexes, meaning the same track position, you simply load the presets. Next time you won't need to select them manually. Just add them as presets and everything will be ready. You can also save version presets For example, if you know you always need a no drums version, drag it over, name it no drums, hit save presets, and it's saved. Next time, just add no drums, all drums, and so on. The last thing we have in sets presets. For example, you know you always need to bounce all these stems plus and no drums versions plus and all drums versions. So next time, instead of selecting everything from scratch, just click Save Set. Give it a name like full, save the name and save the presets. Next time you won't need to select all your stems from scratch. Just click a full. If you have a template you work from and all your tracks are always in the same position across project, everything will be added automatically: piano, strings, bass, and others. Next, let's go to the hidden sections. If there are tracks you don't want to see, for example a preview track or a click track, right click on them and they will be moved to hidden, so your view stays clean. There is also a filter button. This lets you filter out, for example, audio or instruments tracks you don't want to see. To use it, you need to enable it and run a scan. The scan runs quickly, as you can see. Now, if we choose to hide audio, only instruments will be shown. In my project, there are almost none, just strings. If we hide instruments, the strings disappear too. If we hide both audio and instruments, only our subgroups remain. This is designed to make it easy to add everything by subgroup if that's more convenient to you. Let's put everything back and disable filtering if you don't need it. The expand collapse tab is straightforward. Now let's move to the most complex and important section, the render section. Let's add some stems to the choir, and in the render section we have master, whether it will be enable or disable during the bounce. There is also an edit options. First, let's add some plugins to the master channel. For them to connect, you first run scan logic and they will connect automatically. But if you edit master plugins after the scan, just click here and they will sync up. As you can see, they sync perfectly. If master on is enabled, it means we'll bounce with the master plugins active. If master off, those plugins will be bypassed. Let's see how that works. I'll close the plugin windows so they are not in the way. Watch how the master plugins toggle. Solo enables, the render begins. I will hit cancel so we don't waste time. As you can see, everything reverses to its previous state. Next, we have options to render with sidechain or without sidechain or both together, with and without sidechain. The same applies to the master. You can render with master or without master or both. You can select any sidechain you need and it will be solid along with the stems. If you need to render with master and without master and with sidechain and without sidechain, the algorithm is correctly calculated all combinations, resulting in 4 identical stems. Next is the effect tabs. You can render without your accents, with them, or wet and dry together. To verify your channels are set up correctly, click wet and add them to your affixed channels. This lets you visually confirm which sends are selected and which will be muted during a dry bounce. When you select dry, those sends will be muted. Next, there is an importer option plus affix. What does it do? You can keep on dry for a specific sense. For example, if you are bouncing a piano and want to mute the reverb but keep the delay, Click the button and the dry versions will render without reverb but with the delay intact. Let's see how that works. As you can see, the reverb is muted but the delay stays active. So it will render together with the delay. If you want the opposite, in the wet versions, remove something so it renders with everything except, say the render, just click bounce. Watch, the reverb mutes while the piano is solid. Let's continue. If you need to render both piano and strings, but want the piano to render with standard settings, while the strings render only as dry or without master off and with a custom effects settings that mutes the delay, all of this will work exactly for strings. Piano will render with master on, sidechain, with or without depending on your selections, and wet. Strings will render with master, off, dry, and a custom affix applied to the dry versions. To reset everything, simply remove the custom settings one by one. This section is truly for professionals. If you need it, just expand it and configure it as needed. If you don't need these features, keep the sections collapsed. That's all for now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We would love to hear from you. So stay with EasyBounce.